Ouais, je commence. Hello guys. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello. Bonjour. So I will be starting soon. I don't know if you guys were here last night, but during the projection, you probably have seen the work that I'm going to be introducing now. So I did this project in 1988. I went to Niger, Africa, several times in 87 and 88. And this is the last trip I made to Niger at the end of 88. So I did this project for my master's degree in photography in Paris, and decided for my research to explore the relationship that builds up between the photographer and the subject. So I decided to go to Africa and work with different tribes. Most of them had never been exposed to the photography medium. So for me it was a key element, because I wanted to see how in more neutral grounds, how people would react to the medium. So for that trip, I stayed about like 2 months and traveled all around Niger and worked with about 8 different ethnic groups, but mainly focus, I would say, on 2, which are the Peul Bororo and the Tuareg. Why? Because they are the ethnic groups that most care about clothing, and so for me this was also important, because I wanted to use clothing as the key vector for our photo sessions. I used a technique that my teacher, Michel Semeniaco, which was a teacher of mine then when I was doing my master's, that he introduced me to this technique, which is basically you ask the subject to decide most of everything, meaning time, location of the photo shoot, what they're gonna wear, and all that. So this is what I pursue, to use this technique. Basically, I was like, nowadays we would say selfie. It was basically me doing the technique and them kind of deciding. But it was a collaboration, of course, because since most of the people I've photographed then, they had no idea about photography, then, you know, it was really a collaboration, of course. At first, because they really didn't know what I was doing, I decided to go on this trip with a pretty large camera. I mean, it was a medium format, it was Hasselblad, but I really wanted to have the camera as a tool in between them and myself, so they would be really conscious of the act of photography. So that's why having a pretty large camera, that was important. Also, what I really noticed is we were a crew. I came with 3 other people from France who were students also. So we had, I was doing the main portraits, then we had Patrick, who was doing the videography and also doing the backstage shooting. And then we had Laurent, who was the only girls out of the group of four of us. She was studying journalism, and she helped in every different aspect of the project, and also wrote different, text about our experience. And the other person was Frank, and he was like basically taking care of our budget and also helping in every way he could, And also I had an assistant from there, a photo assistant, and as well, the chauffeurs and different help. So we would be about 8 to 10 most of the time, traveling around the country. It was a pretty big deal. I mean, this is like 35 years ago. So the experience nowadays would be probably quite different, because I was recently in Africa, and I mean, now everybody's really more connected with cell phone and all that kind of new technology. So back then we didn't have any of that. So for me what I did at first, I was taking photographs of my teammates to kind of show to the people we were staying with what was the process of the photography. And because they were since they were unfamiliar with the medium, they were pretty timid about being in front of the camera, especially they really didn't understand what I was doing. So what I did, we didn't have like digital cameras, anything like that. Everything was analog. So I was taking Polaroids of the people, and then I was showing to them. And it was very interesting because besides knowing what they look like from seeing themselves in a mirror or in water, their reflection, they had no other ways to see themselves. So what was pretty strange is when we were showing them the Polaroids, they could basically not even recognize themselves, because for them it was totally magical to end up on a piece of paper with the head like a pinhead, So we had to kind of describe what it was. And once they understood, I mean, they loved it. They thought, I was a magician doing that. And they will carry the Polaroid all day long, doing their chores, going to get water, cooking. So they always had the Polaroid in hands, or next to them. It was like their most precious thing. Also, I worked a lot with the Peul Bororo, which are the ethnic group that is very... they're very excited about clothing, about makeup. Only the men wear makeup. The women wear tattoos. Usually they only wear makeup for special occasion. And there is one big occasion which is called la cure salée, the salted cure, if I translate it. So this is actually a very important ceremony that happens annually. The men, they're going to spend several hours doing this makeup. So they use mainly pigments, different things they found like earth, and they burn, they use charcoal and things like that. And then they do a very interesting dance on a road. They're holding their hands and they jump and make weird, with their faces, they really make like mimics. And the woman, they're gonna pick each year a man for 1 year. That's gonna be their mate. And each year it's like they're doing it again. And so we luckily, they are nomads, so it's difficult to really find them because they constantly move, and it depends of the seasons, because they also have they really live from cattle and things like that, and they don't do much planting, so they're trading things with other people, and they're constantly on the move. So we were trying to find them for a couple of weeks, and what was pretty magical is that when we arrived, by chance, we were driving on those huge grass, we could see nothing, and then all of a sudden we arrived in this small campment, and they were dancing. They were all made up. They were celebrating a birth. So we arrived really as they were in their best, dressed and everything. So that was pretty magical. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, landing there. So I'm going to start here. So here they are. This is exactly when we arrive. So that's the way they were. You can see Laurent on the corner to the left. And then, as you can see, they hold hands and they all made up. So that was I would say, this was really in the afternoon, something like 2 p.m. when we arrived. And that's what happened. You see in the back the grass, very high. So we were driving on those when we finally ended up there. So that was, sorry, I have to go like this. So this is more. So they invited us, to dance with them. So here's Frank, totally being involved, kind of basically immediately. They really see not often stranger at all. So they were very excited for us to be there. So this is very typical. They make a sound, a chant, and they move them like a bird, I would say. So here is. So of course, some of us were taking the photos. So this is the makeup. So it's pretty, as you can see, it's pretty elaborated. Knowing that they live really in the middle of nowhere. So it just, and as I said, only the men wear the makeup. So if you have any question at the same time, because I'm not going to play the slides, over again. So if anyone wants to ask question along, that's you're welcome to do so. Yeah, because as I mentioned, that's why they're trying to seduce. This is a very unusual, especially for us from Western, to change mate every year. So they're doing these elaborated makeups to really seduce the women. So they're trying to be at the best. And the women wear tattoos, you'll see. And they're not wearing all these, because as you're going to see, you see this one, this young kid, here you see is wearing two different outfits. You see the hat? It's the same kid, but you know, it's two different hats. So it changed, and they have all the different gris-gris, meaning accessories that they believe for good luck and things like that. And the jewelry and the weaponry, I mean, all of that is for them, you know, to do this dance and seduce. Yeah.
You said this is in West Africa, right?
Where?
In,
Sorry, I cannot hear.
You said this is in West Africa?
Yeah, no, this is in Niger.
In Niger, okay.
Which is right under the desert, the Sahara, Tenere, you know. It's kind of West Africa, but it's a little bit center.
Right.
Mali is next to it.
Gotcha.
And underneath is Niger is above, Nigeria is below.
Okay.
More south.
And the reason why I was asking is because their makeup is very similar to Igbo culture there. And I was going to ask you, do they speak that? Or is it...
Or they speak very different, which was quite a challenge because I had a assistant, a Nigerian assistant, and when I was staying with we stayed about a week with them, but when we stayed with the Pearl, we had to have two translators translating to my assistant. So it was like a string of translation.
And one last question is, you said they mate for a year, or they find a partner for a year.
Yeah.
So is it that men from neighboring tribes, where they come to various tribes, or like?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they come from different villages. Because, you know, the little campment, you know, this little village where we were, it was maybe 100 people. It was very small community. Also, I don't know what it looks like, but anyway, a lot of those shots, they were dancing, so it was very hard to have them in focus because as you see right now, we're taking the photos, but they're moving. Also, you know, because Stefan, you know, pushed me to dig into my archives, I was kind of happy to do that, so I'm a little bit rusted with this project, talking about it, but also there is a big difference in quality of images because some were duplicates from chromes, and when I had sent them a few weeks ago to have them scanned, you know, I realized some were not the originals, because I have archives in France. So we had made, I was working with a big press agency, but this I really did for my project of my master's degree. But then the agency, you know, they wanted to use them, so they made tons of duplicates to sell the images to different publications. So, well, anyway, that's...
Laurent?
Yeah?
At what age do they do this for the first time? Do they go into the mating ritual?
Well, as you see, I would say the youngest one, like, this is one of the youngest, I would say is maybe 13, you know. It's hard to tell age, but you also have to realize the communication with them was mainly with gesture and all of that, which works, but of course it's a little bit difficult to really go into deep conversation. But it made, of course, the project even more interesting in a sense that they would have to trust me and the rest of my team to be involved in the photo sessions, you know. So we did it gradually. At first, like I say, I took photos of my teammates, and then they were very curious. They were like, what are they doing? And then I started to photograph them with their own clothing. And the next step was I did bring, you know, clothing from like designer Western designers that I brought, and one day I put a rug in the middle of the, campment, and I let them do what they wanted because they were very curious about clothing. They always trying to find new ways to impress. So as soon as we put the clothes, they started to look, they were a little bit timid, they didn't know if they could touch them, but that we invited them to let them do whatever they wanted. So they try them on, and but they totally style it, mixing their own things, which was pretty. We could see really a very creative process here. And one day, we were totally freaking out because all of a sudden we see them with like a silver lipstick. And then they say, oh, this is new. So everybody wants to wear the silver lipstick. But you know what had happened? We had some batteries from our cameras that we were putting, all the waste in bags. And I don't like plastic bags, for garbage. And obviously, they had gone into that bag, and they opened the battery, and they used the lithium to put the lipstick. So we were trying to figure out what was it, and then we finally found out that's what happened. So we had to explain, they couldn't do that because everybody wanted to do it. So I say, for your health, it's better you're not, doing that. But it shows also the process of fashion. As soon as, something is new, everybody wants it. When everybody has it, then it's time to move on. And so the process of fashion is also happening there. They're always trying to find new things, to create new trends. So that was very interesting to see that, to experience that. So I'll keep going. So this is a photo you can see. I don't have all the archives, unfortunately, but as you can see, this is the little village. So there is like the part where there is the dishes and the little huts. So we slept in huts like that, that they gave us on like bed, wood, but it was like sticks put together. You could barely even move, you know what I mean? I prefer to sleep directly on the floor in a sleeping bag. So you see that's how they have the dishes. So it's very organized. I mean, it's simple, but it was just amazing to... So we did share their meal. So that was quite an experience. I don't have the photos. I know I have some, but I don't know where they are. You see us... after we danced, as you see us when we arrived, they invited us under like a big hut in the shade and to share a meal. So we didn't really know what it was. Then we found out. So that was so in those big construction, they put like grain and things. You see, that's what we had. But we also had milk, so from camel. When we were not very excited when we found out that actually the women, they pee in the milk, so the milk doesn't turn bad. So we had to drink that and eat this. So, of course, we're not used to eat, this kind of food. I'm not even talking about the taste, but I'm talking about being sick, or we're really in the middle of nowhere, and there is no hospital. As soon as there is no roads, so you really don't want to get sick. And so we had to explain. First day we ate their food, but then we had to explain. We couldn't really eat, so we explained why. And then one day I cooked for them. I made spaghetti. So I had the all campmen they were making a line and waiting for the spaghetti. So, of course, spaghetti with no sauce, just like that. They were laughing. I don't think they really liked it either, but they wanted to try it. So this is, you see, those are the young ones. So this is basically what you see, it's what we slept under. So you see even the young ones wear makeup. So what happened is when they understood what we were doing, they every day they did their course in the morning, and then in the afternoon they started to make the makeup, to put on their makeup for the photo session. So every day I was taking photos because they wanted to do it every day. So it's not everyone that wanted to pose, in front of the camera. Some remained very timid, but some others, more than one time I took their photos with different outfit. And so here you see he's looking at itself in a mirror. So as I was saying before, that's the only way, they know what they look like, from their own image. So here again, you see. So they had a lot of fun. They really, this was not supposed to happen every day, but then they decided, every day we do photos. It was part of the... So those are the photos, I took once they were, made up. You saw them yesterday, but here, it's a little bit more slower. So it's nice to be able to kind of really look more into the details. So that's, one of the huts where they lived, So each photos that you see, I gave them the Polaroid. So they had, This is one of the person I took. He was the first one to decide to be photographed. He was a very tall man, like the tallest of all. He really helped us greatly to have the others, feel confident and to pose. Actually, it was very touching because when we left, he came to me and gave me 3 white stones and 1 egg, chicken egg. But also they were crying when we left. Yeah, they couldn't believe we had to go. So we were really sad also. It was very... I was 22 when I did this project. So for me, I had been to Niger before to organize this project because this ended up to be a big project. I had won a big award competition, and we ended up, really just spending 2 months taking the photos, but I had to go several times to talk to the ministers and the people from the country who take the decision, because you have to have approval to do things. They don't really want... the sad thing is that, Niger used to be French, so people speak French, but of course they have all dialects. But right now, as recently as 2 months ago, the French, remaining French have been asked to leave. So I never was able to really go back because it became very dangerous to go to Niger as a foreigner. So I tried many times to revisit and continue the project differently, of course, but that's has proven to be not possible. And I just spent 2 months to Africa recently, but not there in West Africa, in Guinea. And as a matter of fact, I'm leaving in 2 weeks for a month. But the sad thing is that it will be very dangerous to kind of go back, there. So that's different times, So we usually did the photos towards the end of the day, yeah?
You say dangerous. What's the reason? I mean, what are the circumstances why it was dangerous, and why were they asking all the French people to?
It's dangerous because there is different groups, we would say like kind of terrorists or that want to control the country, and that are would mainly try to harm foreigners. So in that sense, it's, you have different countries. Unfortunately, there is problems in between different ethnicity, and also old colonies like that. French people remained there. They were still having some military bases and things like that, but a presence there. But now, like 3 months back, like in September or something like that, I'm not very sure exactly when, but it was really like bad. They really had to, the French government had to like ask all the people from France, to move out of the country, because they had a lot of threats, And I have a friend of mine, actually, I ended up doing this project in Niger because I was lucky enough to meet the director of the director of tourism from Niger, who also is a very famous fashion designer, probably the most famous fashion designer in Africa. And I worked very closely with him on this project. So luckily his wife was the niece of the president of the country back then. So I got a lot of permissions to allow me to do things that are not like usually possible to do. So that's, it required a lot of, I just didn't go like that. This required, when I won the prize, I think it was probably in February or March. We didn't go there before November because we had to prepare again. Even so, I had been there before and met and had all the letters and everything. Okay, I'm gonna. So it's always amazing for me, when they dress in white like that and the clothes are totally impeccable. They look like they've been pressed and everything, and so clean. It's just amazing, knowing the little means they have. So this is, you see, this kid is one of the really young ones. So they train pretty early on, to do the makeup. But this is a ritual that they love to do. Of course, you can tell the amount of work. They would spend a couple of hours doing these makeups because they have to gather the inks or the pigments, all of that. So you see the weapons. So they have. So this is the day. I don't, like I said, I don't have all my archives, but luckily I was able to find that one. You see, this is when I put the little rug and I put the clothes. So here is trying on. This was a big designer back then. Was called, Les Créateurs, like Jean-Paul Gaultier. This was Maritain and François Girbeau. So this is a red pants from Maritain and François Girbeau. So he's trying them on and he's laughing. So he's choosing, we totally let him do what he wants. So he's mixing it with his own clothes. So here I am taking photos. So you see they were all behind me. had a circle, and they were all either way watching or waiting their turn to be photographed. So you see a little bit the setup, you know. You see some behind me in the back, you know, waiting. So here you see this couple, let's see. You see better on that one. But the women, they have to wear what she's wearing, you know, the long skirt. They have to have the skirt go up to the ankles. So she, of course, kept it and put the dress for Marité and François Girbaud on top of it, because it wouldn't be proper for her to wear something too short. So it created, what?
What was the temperature when you were shooting?
It was hot. That's why we had to shoot at the end of the day. I was really shooting the photo session was short, because, you know, they had to do their course and everything, and then it was too hot. And then all of a sudden, you know, in Africa, it's night very early, you know, by 7 it's night. So we were probably shooting from 5 to 7, something like that. So here you see better, you know, the combination of the dress. So here's my assistant, because I'm saying, you know, to have the chin, you know, to leave the chin to be looking more up. So, you know, usually we had different translators for more complicated discussions, but here, just, you know, making gesture help for them to understand, you know, what I was trying, you know. I had to guide them somehow, you know, so that's the shot. But you have to realize most of the time, and we have everything in a film. So you have to realize a lot of the time it was a lot of laughing. You know, they really like were having a blast. Yeah. So you're gonna see the man, the first one, is holding a Polaroid. You see? The man to the front. And then there is the one I just photographed with the red pants. You see him with the yellow feather. So that's when, so Laurent is helping a little bit to fix the clothes. You don't see it well, but there is another man waiting in the construction there. You see better here.
Laurent, was there a problem with the young lady who was wearing shorts? Were they upset that she was showing her legs?
No, she didn't show her legs. That's what I was saying.
No. Your assistant.
No, that's not a problem. I mean, what was very interesting is that, and I experienced it, I mean, maybe several of you have been to Africa, and this happened to me like a few months ago, you know, because I'm really white, and all the kids were touching my skin, you know, like rubbing me. But back then I was very, you know, my hair was long and blonde. I was the only one blonde from the team. And they will touch my hair like crazy too. That was like totally magnet, you know, for them. But no, they didn't. That didn't bother them, you know. So here is dressed. This is a Yohji Yamamoto outfit, but he totally picked it, and you see it's not a cravat, you know, a tie that you see. It's a gris-gris coming out. Then he's holding in his hand, you know, the spear, but on the other hand, it's actually a little mirror. So this is the person I was talking that really helped us. You saw him earlier on with the, I think it was a purple head wrap, you know. So here they are. So they hold, as you could see when they were dancing, hands. So they decided, they hold each other, the men. So this is two men. But one, the one that is holding the hat, this is basically a woman's outfit somehow. But, he picked that one and, decided to use the rope as the belt, we totally let them free to do what they wanted, That was really the idea, because we were not trying to put clothes on them. We wanted to see how they would react to. But what was very interesting is that they made it so well that it almost looked like they could belong to them, you know what I mean? They immediately made the clothes be their clothes somehow, So you see, this was an interesting outfit. He had like the sleeve was a glove, you see. So one, he put it on, and the other one. So here again, you can see the makeup and all the details, of the jewelry.
Were you able to compensate them somehow?
We gave them, I had won a very big prize for this project. So this was like really, I would say this, to the money of now, it will be probably about $100,000. So we had, we had big sponsors like Fuji was a sponsor, France Inter, VSD, which is really a big magazine like Paris Match, back then was really big. Because this was also the time when Paris-Dakar, which in France is very big, VSD, this magazine was the main sponsor of Paris-Dakar. So they were our sponsors. And especially the Paris-Dakar goes through the Ténéré and Niger. So this was a big deal. As a matter of fact, they published, it starts on January 1st every year, the Paris-Dakar. So when we came back, they decided to publish the photos earlier on. We were supposed to be only published like in March, and they published them the first week of January, which is the big issue for the Paris-Dakar. So we were on the cover.
Laurent,
Yeah.
I think the question was, were your subjects compensated in any way?
we had a lot of, we gave them medication because that's mainly what they wanted. So we had to, that's what, we had the sponsor. So we had all of that. We had a budget to buy things, to give to them. So we get them, the most important is really medication, like aspirin, like Tylenol, that kind of thing, that they very have little access to. We gave them some T-shirt clothing. Obviously, the clothes they're wearing, we couldn't, that we use for the photo shoot, we couldn't give it to them because those were, first of all, sample pieces from the showroom and very expensive pieces that didn't belong to us. But they never tried to keep them or anything like that, There was more like a role play with it. But we gave them T-shirts, we gave them a bunch of things, and we gave also money to the chef of the village each time. So that's how we did compensated them. I would have loved to go back and, make prints for them, but you have to realize in the condition they live in, the prints would have not survived anyway, because the elements, but it was one of my intention, but things, like I say, after that, it was complicated. Niger has been it's been difficult to go back, I tried many times, but yeah. I don't know if you can see, we didn't not, but there is the tattoos, the women wear like tattoos.
Laurent?
Yeah.
Yes, and I was wondering if you worked with an anthropologist before organizing this trip, because if they are not used to deal with money or to another way of life with medicine and stuff, because maybe I get they have like traditional way of you know, like in English, of when you are sick, and they use maybe plants or herbs or other things. So I'm really curious about the transmission between two worlds, like Occidental world and this group, this nomad. So this is my question about
I mean,
finding
if I
a way.
did work with anthropologists, I mean, you know, I had members of the jury when I won the prize, because we were like about 1,000 people to be first shortlisted. I mean, from 1,000, they shortlisted, I think, 14, and I won the first prize. So we had in the jury Jacques Lanzmann, who's very known, you know, he's passed now, but who did a lot of, wrote a lot of books about, you know, trips, you know, and anthropology, that kind of thing. And also I had a team from France who were doing documentary about anthropology that were members of the jury, but also I was working closely with the director de l'Office du Tourisme du Niger. So, also, I don't know if you know Mano Dayak, who was the guy in Niger, who was overlooking the crossing of the Ténéré. So he was really a key, he was a lot with me. And all those people, he's a Tuareg. And all of these people, we were like, we were only 4, but I had a big team of people from there, you know, so we were very respectful of what we were doing, because we know we were going to their countries and we didn't want to disrupt their life or anything like that. We just wanted to share an experience in photography, being the witness of that. And also, like I say, my research was my thesis was about to explore the impact of the medium on people that, because we take it for granted, but photography is definitely something magical that when it first happened in Western culture, it was magical for people too. But yes, I mean, I'm not an anthropologist, so, and that wasn't really the main goal of this, because, you know, that's not the kind of study I was doing. But of course, I was very interested in the different culture. I always had been, you know, and nobody pushed me to go there. But it was like a call. I really wanted to go there at the beginning because I was fairly young. And it took 2 years. I went several times before. So I was in my early 20s, and I was like, this is something I want to do. You know, I felt very appealed to know other culture, and especially in Africa at that point. Ouais, c'est trop long. Ah ben oui. Bon, I'm going to flip through. So those are the kids also in the village. So now we're on the road again, so we left, and I'll pass those, you know, they just show you the scenery, the landscape we went through. So here, that's when we shot the Tuareg, which is the other group that I was very interested in. They call the blue men of the desert. So they have a very dark skin, bluish, because the clothes are blue with the dye they're using with plants. So it makes them blue. So that's why they call the blue men of the desert. And they also very, the way they style and everything, it's just beautiful, you know, when you drive and then you meet them, and it's just like the way they dressed is, you know, definitely beautiful and functional too, because it's very hot, so the clothes, they can really flow, you know. So those are the Tuaregs. So throughout the trip, of course, because we were on the road for like 2 months, so we stopped in different little villages, and I was taking photos, which obviously we don't have the time to show everything. And like I said, I didn't have access to all my archives anyway. It was like, would have been too overwhelming to show everything. But you see everybody's very, attracted by the photo sessions, and trying to be either involved or, this is, so that's different. So this is Laurent, she's pressing a Azedinalai address that was landed to us. I really don't have all these photos, but we did some beautiful shots. You see, like, those are BTS shots, but we shot, this is Agadez, so we on the mosque. Thanks to the Sultan of Agadez, he gave me the permission to have a women go on the mosque. So it didn't go well, which you see standing on the wall. They had to bring the four-wheel car, and we had to go through the roof of the car to go back in, because even so we had the permission, it was very, for them to have a woman on the mosque was like, a no-no, so. Yeah, even so we had the permission, but, So this is us just, sometime when we had nobody, we just played around. So here Laurent is posing with the dress you saw earlier, and Patrick is filming me. I'm in the middle. So here we go, we're going towards the Ténéré Desert, which is the south part of the Sahara. The Ténéré Desert and the Sahara are the biggest desert in the world. So we're going towards there. This is a big expedition because you have to have many cars, and you can just go like that. I mean, it was pretty amazing that we had like flat tires all the time from the heat. So we had to dig out the car. I mean, it was very physical somehow, the experience. And this is tremendous heat, like right now. So we would sleep always, on sleeping bags. So here we in the desert, but it's probably 15 degrees Fahrenheit at night, and maybe 115 during the day. And as you can see, we have the vultures waiting either way to eat us or to eat whatever we leave behind, which of course, we didn't want to leave anything. So this is probably 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning when we wake up. And we have all the vultures around us. So that was like pretty common scene. So this is some of the landscape. So of course a tree is important. It's a way to have shade when it's like super hot. So probably here we stop to have lunch. So here we had to dig out the car. So we had to walk, and most of the time we had to take out all the equipment and everything to make the car lighter and to push them. So it was a lot of work, and we could not do it all the time. You see on top we have all the gas, So this is, I'm preparing to shoot this photo with the camel. So this is random, we see a camel, it's starting to be sunset, and I decide to do these photos. So we're preparing, and that's the shot with as you see, the moon. This is in Oasis, So we'd really had very few minutes to do this, The animal was like trying to kiss the girl nonstop when she was on very high heels, so it was pretty tricky. So here we go again, we had flats. This is grass, you can see. It hadn't rained for about like 10 years. And that year we were there, the grass came out in the desert, and you see it a little bit. This is going deep, us going deeper into the Ténéré. This is another photo. I'm taking this photo, which we stopped, you know, and I say, you know, it's the sunset. This is in the Vallée de l'Aïr. It's beautiful. It's really magical. So we stop at that moment. I had that incredible dress from Claude Montana, who was for the show, was the final piece, you know, on the runway. So I was lucky enough to get that piece because, you know, I took the clothes for more than 2 months, you know, altogether. So here, you know, we're shooting. So I'm getting... It was super windy, and I'm really, you see she has high heels, and we're on the edge of that cliff. So I had to go there and try to fix the dress as much as, yeah, you see. So we had to be quick because the sun, of course, goes down really quickly. So that's the final shot. And of course, nothing, it's been digital, you know, everything is done with, this is chrome, you know. So this is what we call the mirage. Far away, you see like it's blurry because of the heat of the sand, and you start to see something. And this is in a caravan de chameaux. So you see them coming very far away, and then they get closer. We took some of the shots are taken from the car, so, you know, it's more like, what you see here is the oasis. So you're in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden you see all this greenery, and so it's very magical. Because you have like oranges and citruses. Here, this is the food for us. We had to carry this on top of the car for a couple of days. So this is our chauffeurs, you know, and, you know, killing the, yeah, again, you know, So that's another shot. I'm doing a photo shoot with this dress from Alaya. So this is the 4 of us from the team, my team from France. This is a Paco Rabanne dress out of metal. So we avoid, you know, walking through the sand because, you know, it's like, I'll fix this in Photoshop later. That wasn't the case. We had to go all around. And this is the Col du Ténéré. This is actually during the Paris-Dakar. This is the hardest point to cross. So we had to kind of empty all the car because we couldn't go through. So this was like getting water. This is where, after you pass the Col du Ténéré, you have this is a tree, used to be a real tree, but during the Paris-Dakar, they knocked down the tree, a truck. So an artist made this sculpture, and now that's the tree. So next to it, they planted, I don't have the photo, a small tree. So you have everyone who's coming by has to water the tree. So hopefully it will grow again. Oh, sorry. And that's the end. And that's us in the desert. Thank you.
What? Yeah, right. Really quickly, is there like a catalog or a book or something with like this experience in it, or where can we go to?
Well, unfortunately, this work hasn't been really shown much because this was like the biggest project. You know, I was starting, you know, kind of starting my career. I did my master, and after that, you know, right after I moved to the US. So during many years, I really didn't do anything with this project. It's been in big collection, like it's at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, in their archives. It's been shown a little bit. I wanted to pursue and do more, you know, and I haven't. I haven't very much classified all this work. So thanks to Stéphane, I had to dig a little bit more recently into it. That's when I realized I know I have a lot more of the archives that are in France. So, and more images, the body of work of the photos that I really took, you know, not the BTS, but no, but I'll definitely, I'm working again. I hadn't been to Africa for 20 years. I'm not talking about that trip, I went back. But it was like 20 years, and I was during 2 months in Africa recently, and I'm going back in 2 weeks. But I'm doing something different, you know. But, you know, I'm aiming to do a project again more into this kind of league, you know what I mean? Going more on an ethnological, you know, process. But each trip requires a lot of preparation, you know, and also it's very costly, you know, which is unfortunately something that sometimes stops you to do things you really wish to do, you know. But hopefully, you know, when I have more time, I definitely want to do a book or something, yeah.
So thank you very much, Laurent, for
Okay, thank you.
going in your archives and share it with us. Thank you.
Thank you.